Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. Welcome to another edition of Faith of Life. My name is Hamid Slimi and I'm your host for this show. I've been featuring in the past positive contributions to Muslim media, works that have been released in the last couple of years, and they are showcasing principles of Islam, Muslims, and the Muslim world. And sometimes when we reflect at these efforts and how they were made, we think of them as being a strengthening element to what Faith of Life Network is all about, to showcase the positive image of Islam, to show the world what is common and universal, to channel our message to the world in a way that is recognized and easy to understand. With me today, a prominent filmmaker and producer, Mr. Jonathan Parker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Jonathan, it's a pleasure having you today. And the reason why we have him, of course, he's a famous producer, specialized in many things. He'll tell us himself what he has done. But we all know Journey to Mecca. It's a movie that came out earlier this year. And flocks of people have gone and watched it. And so I know personally many people who went over and over and over, fascinated with the work. I myself had the honor to be your guest on the panel of discussion when the movie was released. Tell us a little bit about yourself first before we talk about Journey to Mecca.
Well, thank you very much. As you said, I'm a film producer and distributor. I have a special passion for IMAX films, and there are IMAX theaters in many of the major cities in the world. And I've made a number of those films, as well as I ran a prominent television company the last 12 years in Toronto, producing many TV series and movies for television. And I've made some feature films, made the last feature film with Jessica Tandy many years ago. But at that time, I really transitioned into being very passionate about making IMAX films. And I've made films under the water, a film called Into the Deep that was very, very successful in 3D, another 3D film called Bugs that many of the audience might be familiar with. It played at the Science Centre for a year and played in 200 theaters around the world. And made a helicopter film for the Smithsonian called Straight Up Helicopters in Action, been involved in a number of the space films that have happened in outer space. So it was a real treat for me to be invited to join the Journey to Mecca.
So the Journey to Mecca, why the Journey to Mecca? Why not Journey to China? Why not Journey to Africa? Why to Mecca?
Well, I think for a number of reasons. First of all, there's both reasons for that content generally and then specifically in IMAX. And the reason generally is because in the post 9/11 world, really it's so important for people to have some understanding between different faiths and to do our best to reduce at least fear between people. So when I was presented this project, what appealed to me was the idea of being able to make some kind of positive contribution to interfaith dialogue. And really, I don't even think of it that way. I just think of it as human beings having respect for one another and some understanding when other people come from a different place or a different religious belief or place or culture. And secondly, because in IMAX, you have the opportunity to take an event, being the Hajj, which is such an incredible spectacle with the longest running annual pilgrimage in the world that has so many people, and with a big canvas of the IMAX screen. That was incredibly exciting to me to be able to be involved in something like that.
So you chose that, and also you said earlier that in the 9/11 reality of the world, a lot of things have changed. You somehow contributed in showing, and anyone for that matter, anyone who watches the movie gets the positive message. Here are people who are not from the Muslim faith, yet showing something great about Islam. Now, what is your experience with Islam as a religion and the people who are Muslims?
Well, the very interesting thing for me is I was brought this project as an idea in development by two producers, Taryn Davis and Dominic Cunningham-Reed, who kindly asked me to help them because they had no experience with a big project like this before, and I had. So we became a team, the three of us, to make this film. And I had, up to that point, no experience with Islam and no experience with the Muslim community. And just to jump ahead, now it's a phenomenally rewarding thing for me, having gone through all the battles to actually get the film made, which is very difficult, which I'd be happy to talk about. But once we actually now have it out there and we're able to show it to people, and as you said, people coming repeat times to see the film, it's a very rare and privileged experience to have gotten to know people in the Muslim community in my own city, where there's maybe 400,000 Muslims in Toronto. Really, and I never was part of this huge community in my own city. And it's become a great privilege to me to have people interact with me and to get to know people of another faith. But as I said, I had no real understanding of Islam. And of course, I have only a little bit now, but it's really opened my eyes. And particularly interestingly to me was the Hajj itself. Because in making the film, we had a lot of choices to make, also in terms of Ibn Battuta, which we'll talk about. But in terms of the question of Islam, to me, what really captured me was understanding, or beginning to get an understanding of how the Hajj symbolizes these actions and these philosophies and beliefs that are so universal. And how could anyone say anything negative about overcoming temptation, about friendship, about brotherhood, about becoming one? All of these beautiful ideas that are at the very heart of the rituals of the Hajj, which I had no understanding of before. And also, it was very illuminating for me to begin to develop a bit of an understanding of the connection to Abraham. And that's something that I think is a big surprise to many non-Muslims who go see the film, to understand, wait a minute, we thought Abraham was our guy. And we all these monotheistic faiths come from the same place. And I feel we've made, a bit of understanding of that to non-Muslims, which hopefully will help us. Certainly for me personally, which is what you asked, those were very important things that came across to me in making the film.
And surely, of course, the film will be available to the public in DVD.
Yes, it will eventually be available in DVD. However, we designed the film to be shown in IMAX, and we like to think of the DVD as being more of a souvenir of the movie rather than a way to experience the movie in the same way.
Well, I had the chance to watch both, and you gave me a copy to see it before the screening, and I compared it. There's no way you can compare them. You have to go to the IMAX. Now, one thing, you mentioned screening the movie was premiered in Abu Dhabi, I believe.
Yes, it was premiered in Abu Dhabi in January. The Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi wanted to host the world premiere, and what he did, which was phenomenal, is he had constructed in 3 days the biggest outdoor IMAX screen ever. So an outdoor IMAX theater was created in 3 days. And the film ran for 3 days, evenings only, because it was under the stars. So we had to wait for nightfall to project the film. And thousands of people saw the film in those 3 days. And then the theater was taken apart, and that was it. It was our world premiere. It was a very powerful event, though, for us, because we had put so much into it. And then we got a wonderful reception from the audience, both Muslim and non-Muslim, in Abu Dhabi.
And it was shown, of course, earlier in Toronto, in the Ontario, still?
Yes, it started at the Ontario Science Centre in February in terms of Canada, and it's still playing there now, and it's playing till at least Labor Day, and we hope more, but at this point, for sure, till Labor Day.
And then you have also other cities.
Yes, we're showing the film. Right now it's running in Victoria. It's going to open in Vancouver in September. It's going to open in Ottawa in September. We're hoping to get it screened. We're hoping to get runs also in Montreal and in Edmonton and Calgary. We're having discussions with those cities to play it there. And then outside of Canada, it's playing in Kuwait, it's playing in Saudi Arabia, in Al Khobar, it's about to start in Dubai, it's playing in Jakarta, a very long-term big contract to play in Jakarta for a long time. And it's going to open for a year in Paris in September. It's going to open in a big event in Washington in January, major event, to play at the Smithsonian, which we're very pleased with, because to have it play in the American capital, we really felt was extremely important. Also, New York, we are negotiating with New York. We're negotiating, and it's playing in Houston right now. It's playing in Dearborn, Michigan. A number of cities are playing it, and many more we're having discussions to play it all around the world.
We still have to discuss a lot, Jonathan. The viewers will be back after these messages.
It is 1325. A young scholar from Morocco bids farewell to his family. He sets off stubbornly alone on an epic journey to Mecca. His name, Ibn Battuta. He risks his life to become one of the greatest travelers of all time. Join him in places you have never seen before. From the largest camel caravan ever assembled to splendid ancient cities. Experience for the first time on the giant screen one of the most extraordinary gatherings of people on earth, the Hajj, as it continues to this day. Journey to Mecca, now playing.